How much should you spend on your contracting ads to see success? Today, I'm going to answer this question and answer some other questions as to why you need the right formula to pick the right number, how you can ensure that you've picked the right budget, how to make sure things are working, and why, if you want to do it alone, why there's pros and cons to working with someone else to do it. So let's get into it. The first thing you want to note is that if you've spent a small amount of money on something like Facebook or Google, right, you're probably doing it because you don't want to risk too much, right? And yeah, sure, depending on the service, you can get away with this much monthly spend when you're starting and doing your initial test runs, but that's not always advisable. There's no hard set number, right? The first thing you have to understand, if you're investing a small amount, it's like you're 16 and you're just learning to drive. From an ad platform perspective, if you don't give the ad platform enough data, it's the equivalent of driving once every 2 to 3 weeks when you're driving. You might think, oh, I'm being safe and I'm probably not going to crash. But what's going to happen when you're driving is you drive more and you learn how people think, how to behave on the road, and you get more experience, and over time, you become better as you do the inputs with your body and your brain and the decisions you make, right? So if you compare this to an ad algorithm, the more data you give it, the bigger it's going to be. From what we've seen, we like starting out with a minimum recommended budget of anywhere between $1,000 to $1,500 per month, right? This can be anywhere between $30 to $50 per day. And from our spend, we've generated over 7 figures for contractors specifically. So I'm just sharing what we know with this, right? And because how Meta works is it needs to test, right? Their algorithm, what they're doing is they are running thousands of micro tests to determine who is most likely going to resonate with your ad, who's most likely going to stop scrolling to watch your ad, who's most likely going to be satisfied, who's most likely to leave the app if they see your ad, right? And as you give it more data, it can do its tests exponentially quicker with a higher ad budget. This means it's going to collect the data to give you leads, qualified leads, and sales over time, right? Another thing you want to look at is that if you don't give it enough data quick enough, you're going to have a higher cost per lead or conversion, because what's going to happen, it's going to try and optimize off of bad data over time, right? And then what's nice though is that Meta generally lets you max out at around $50 per day when you're starting, just to prevent fraud and confirm you're legit. So if you've never done ads before, you can't really go above this. You can start at $30 per day. And then as you spend over time, your ad limit increases too. And what you can be doing off of this is, if your ads get better and you start seeing positive leads and you want to do more, you can scale up the campaigns. We'll talk on what you should do before you scale the campaigns and what you should have. But basically, what testing does, it also gives you valuable insights, right? It doesn't mean that 1,500 is going to waste. That 1,500 or that 1K is an investment in data, right? Because you are learning in your photos, in your videos that you're testing, in your copy, in your positioning, and the offers you make. You're learning what works. What drives people to buy? What drives people to click? What makes people stop? And this is all valuable data you can use in the rest of your business too, right? And these are things you just can't do with traditional and print and billboards and mailers as easily. You can do it, but it is hard, right? So what should you expect when you're spending like $1,250, $1,000, $1,500, right? I'm going to do this breakdown at around $41 per day. You should, and I'm filming this during an election season in the US, so your lead costs are going to be higher than this because you're competing against the election people dumping hundreds of millions into this, right? But it should be $20 to $40 per lead if you're advertising in the US. Canada is slightly lower, Australia is a little lower, UK is a little lower, any other countries way lower for cost per lead, right? Because you're bidding against other people's ads as well for the eyeball, right? And if you get higher lead costs, the equation and the metrics you need to look at the overall CPM. CPM is determined by the quality of the videos, And the photos in the ad, if you have a high CPM, no one wants to see your stuff, Meta's penalizing you because people leave after they see your ad, they leave the app, right? CTR, all that is the percent of people that see the ad and they go to the next step. Maybe that's swiping up to convert on the lead form. Maybe that's going to your site by swiping up or sending you a message, right? Whatever you've optimized for. So if those two things are good, you should have a low cost per lead, right? But the thing you want to remember is a low cost per lead is not the end goal. Profit is the end goal, right? You can be bidding on people who are unqualified and poor and shouldn't be spending money with you, right? And those people you kind of want to avoid because they cannot give you a high profit off of the marketing spend. So you could get 5 leads that can't spend anything for $20, or you could get 1 lead that can spend hundreds of thousands for $100. I'm taking the more expensive lead every time, all day long. But if you're going to compare it in a vacuum, just look at the CPM and the CTR. If those are good, just keep raising the campaign budget or keep it as is for that specific ad set. And what you should expect, you should never evaluate anything just on the first couple of weeks or even the first month, right? Because if your sales cycle time is 1 month, you're gonna have iterations that you learn as you go through the sales cycle in which sales can pass on to marketing, which you can then use in your ads, right? 3 months is generally enough time for contracting ads, assuming your average close time is about 2 weeks to about 8 weeks generally. From that, you can expect around 3 to 5 deals. We aim for under 500 costs of acquisition on 10K to 15K deals, 20K deals. But again, this is all going to depend on the job size, the job type, how competitive your area is, how expensive the jobs are, and how much ad spend you put in, right? So with that in mind, if you run a lower budget or even go with people who are inexperienced or take this in-house, the thing that you have to keep in mind is that if you don't work with someone who can fully get you the right data, is they likely don't have a process to actually test things, right? And here's the thing. When you throw out one ad, it's probably not going to be your winner. You need to test and see what winners there are, right? You need to see what resonates, what makes people click, and what makes people buy, right? And as you feed Facebook more data and you feed your sales data back into Facebook, you are going to get more qualified people and you're going to get a higher return on your ad spend. And the next thing, Facebook ads will always work for contractors, assuming there's potential in the market, right? The reason why you run ads and you collect data or you hire someone else to do it is so that iterations can be made off of the data. If you're just going to set it and forget it, you should not run ads. You should put that money somewhere else. But outside of that, all of these stats that I've gone over are all things you need to look at to determine if you need to give your ads a bit more time, if you need to scale your ads, if you need to slow your ads down and cut that specific portion. And keep in mind, everything works together, right? If sales is not communicating with marketing, marketing isn't giving their data to sales, you can't expect to make money off of ads because these two portions are combined, right? And then off of that, this is kind of why, right? This is kind of why like you should be budgeting out a bit of time for this. But again, yes, you can get away with like a $200, $500 monthly budget if you're selling like window cleaning, but for contractors, you really need to be spending $1K to $1,500 to test the potential. And you should be budgeting $3K total over a 2 to 3 month period if you want to actually commit to ads, right? And then the other thing is basically with this is the proven way we've seen just to help our clients get results with ads. If you want us to come in and collect that data, manage it for free for 20 days, then swipe up, book a time with us to talk, and we will see if we can help. If you like the video, make sure to like and comment and give other ideas you want us to work on for this.